working. Right, that should be working. Trying to think about. Okay, whatever. Okay, I don't know whether this is working or not, but we've just got to wait. Taylor, do me a favour and look if it's working. Thanks. Oh, you'll boss me, yes. Okay, is this working now?
Can you?
If it comes up, then I'm actually just going to give up already.
I'm gonna go onto YouTube on my iPad and see if it comes up.
Yeah, it works. It's very annoying. Oh, yeah, there you go. It's working. Fantastic.
Yeah.
There you go. Right. Welcome. This is the brand new podcast which we're starting up with me and Taylor. Taylor, say hi.
Hello.
I know many people won't be really watching this live, but as long as it's people can watch it back in the future, then that's great. We're just going to be talking about all about the Blues, basically. That's what it says by the title. Now, there's a few topics which you can see on the side of your screen right now. A few points which we want to go through today in today's live stream, which should take about an hour to go through. First of all, we're going to talk about the new signing. Brandon Goodship, if that's how you say his name, has signed for the club. Taylor, go away. What's your opinion on it?
Well, he seems like a good striker from his stats. Obviously, coming from non-league, not going to have the experience of a League One striker, but from the stats, he should be able to perform.
A few years ago, he did play in Yeovil, I think it was, in League Two, and he did play for Bournemouth. And if you saw what he did for them, they did do quite well. He did do quite well with them. But from a step up from that type of league to now in League One, I think it's a big step up for him. But he has scored the goals, which kind of backs up his his transfer to this league, and he is ready for it. But I don't know.
Obviously, it's a good signing, obviously, because he's coming on a free, and he's going to be playing in a pre-season against his previous side, so he can show what he's worth if he plays in that game. But the thing is, we've now got 4 or 5 striking options, and it just depends how we're going to play next season.
Do you think this was a bad signing, or do you think there was other areas which we could have improved on before signing a striker?
I mean, obviously we need to sort out like a left back and a centre back and a central playmaker.
Yeah.
But considering he was a free, it was quite good to snatch him up while we could, obviously, because we don't know what's going to happen to any other strikers. Because although Simon Cox has got the experience, he's now getting a bit older.
Yeah.
And may move on soon, so good to have the option.
Yeah, obviously. The main thing which you said there was that we needed a central. He was good and he could ping them balls left, right, and centre, and we can start the attack. And we've missed that for these past 2 seasons, and we do need that kind of player at the club.
I mean, and someone like Drew would benefit a lot from that because he can't. He's not. He's a box-to-box midfielder who needs options getting into those dangerous areas where he can set up strikers or have a shot himself.
Yeah, like, as long as we have older people at the club, if that makes sense. Like, you learn from older people and you learn from their experience. And I feel like Drew hasn't got that experience yet.
Yeah, obviously he's like 19 and
Yeah.
come through and if he performs, we'll probably be able to sell him on for a couple of million and bring in some other players.
Yeah, we looked at him against Sunderland. There was a few chances which he had. This season wasn't his greatest, and everybody didn't have a great season this season. That's going to be the next topic, but everybody didn't have a great season. Obviously, from where we finished in the league.
Yeah, well, obviously we struggled a lot with a lot of injuries, and obviously one of the injuries was Ben Coker, and due to the injury, likely gone because of it. He wants something else because he wasn't getting the play time.
Yeah, and it's been difficult for the past few weeks because obviously Ben Coker was a massive influence on the club. People were saying, "Oh, he's the best left back in the league." It's he was like he could get them crosses in. He can get past players. He's got the pace against other players, and that's going to be a big miss for us. And if we don't sign back either Sam Hart or Moore, it's going to be difficult because Moore and Sam Hart show to us what kind of players they are, and I feel like them leaving, it's going to have a massive impact on the side because they were a big influence on the changing room, as you saw on their Instagrams and God knows what else and social media.
Yeah, and now we're only stuck with one left back in Harry Cipriano, who didn't play a single match, I don't think, last season.
No.
Whereas Hendry played a couple of games, obviously didn't perform very well.
Hasn't
It's
he?
obviously the club.
Hasn't he been released now? I swear. Was he released? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is another player which we didn't. We're getting rid of the players which it's dead wood. But yeah, we want to get rid of dead wood, but we are weak. We're a weakened side now, and we don't have that. We don't have that squad depth which we need, and to push on to do better things next season and not be in the same position as what we were this season, we do need to sign more players, and strengthening the striker position, which we didn't really need.
Yeah, but I guess if it was gone into our transfer budget, it could be a bigger problem. But considering he's a free, it just gives us another option, I guess.
Yeah. Let's we did get a question through on our Instagram. If you do not follow that already, it's down in the description right now. We did get a question through from I think it was someone called you Bogley. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Sorry. He said, "Is this new striker a good signing?" And we've already touched on it already. And I think in the future, he's only 24. I think he's got bags of potential, but I think the start he's gonna struggle to get into the team because of course Stephen Humphreys he's another player who's got bags of potential, and I think Cox is gonna. I think the two strikers, the young strikers, are gonna look up to Cox, and he's gonna be the man where he can like teach them how to play football and score goals in certain areas because of course Cox has played in the Championship with West Brom before, so he's gonna be a good motivation for them two players.
Yeah, and obviously Tom Hopper's been out for most of last season and never got to play with Stephen Humphreys. And considering the way Hopper played before he got injured and Humphreys when he came to the club, I reckon they'd be a brilliant strike force together. Whereas what happens to Cox and the new fella that just came in? It's just too many options.
Do you think Kevin Bond will try and strengthen the defence next? Where do you think he'll go from now?
Obviously, he's going to have to do it because he has mentioned about Sam Hart coming back. Not
And
Sam
he's
Hart, Taylor Moore. Like
yeah,
the
Taylor
option
Moore.
of the potential of Taylor Moore still coming back, but it just depends, I guess.
What I think is with Taylor Moore, I think he could come back, but I think both players are going to try and play pre-season, and we'll try and see whether the team will pick them for the new season. But if we want to sign Taylor Moore, we've got to sign him early, and we've got to give them the right amount of money. So then, Bristol, the likes of Bristol City, and of course Blackburn for Sam Hart, we've got to put in the good offers early, so then they don't get a chance to play pre-season. Not trying to be harsh or anything, but like we need them for pre-season.
Yeah, because obviously if any of them prove that they're first team quality for their respective teams, then we've pretty much got no chance of getting them. Whereas obviously Taylor Moore showed a lot of love to the club, and I'm pretty sure he'd be happy to come back and stay. Like even if we just get him on like another loan, like for now until we can get like the funds like available, just like to have the security of having that other centre back and give us the options. Whereas we've kind of weak and got a lot of older players in our backline at the moment.
It's difficult who we need, who we want, and who would be good for our side, and who would be beneficial, and who would improve our squad. Like it's not like the Premier League, who gets linked with all players left, right, and centre. We're Southend United. We're not the biggest club in the world, and we're not going to be able to be linked with players. Like it's difficult. We can't get our heads around who's going to come to the club, but there's a few players who've been released from big clubs in the Championship who I wouldn't mind, but it's just their wages are going to be too much, and I doubt our chairman, Ron, will want to pay them type of wages, especially with the new stadium coming up and him, not giving the money out to the new manager.
Yeah, a lot of people do give Ron stick, but he did say that with the council keep turning down the application for the stadium, he's gonna force it on them to speed it up. Because obviously we can't. There's no way we're gonna progress without a new stadium, and if we perform like we did last season in the season to come, we could go down. And then if we go down, we've pretty much got no chance of a new season, a new stadium, and it's just gonna. I reckon it will just cause the club to crumble.
Yeah, it's tough really to see what will happen next season. At the moment, I generally think that we'll probably have a slight chance of staying up. I think it will be the same if we don't strengthen our squad.
Yeah, obviously, because I reckon if we get all our players back from injury, we do have a decent side. It's just so many of our players are injury prone, and when they're out, they're such a big loss to the team.
Yeah, like Hyams is a big loss. Well, I'd say big loss, but he hasn't shown his full potential this season. And the same with
Dimitri.
Dimitri. He's been missed, I think.
But then Elvis has started to prove himself as a quality right back.
Yeah, definitely. He's got that determination to strive and do well for the club, and you saw that at the last game of the season when we stayed up, and like he led the chance. He was up and going. That's the kind of person we need in the changing rooms, and young players have that like determination to strive for their club. And I think didn't Buomo come through the youth?
Yeah, with Drew and that.
But with Drew, I think in a few seasons' times he's gonna think he's bigger than the club, and he will push on, and we will sell him. But I don't want it to happen because I want to see him through the years. Maybe get 5 more years with him. That would be brilliant. And then he'll be in his prime, and then we'll be able to sell him on for 3 or 4 million. But until then, we don't know with Drew.
Yeah. Whereas I think a lot of our experienced players at the club are very good players, such as Simon Cox and John White. because they show the passion still. Like John White in the last game scoring that overhead kick, like
Oh yeah.
that was astounding. Like to do that as a centre back,
You don't really see that very
his,
often.
Yeah, and like with Simon Cox, is like passion, like every game, week in, week out, and that's obviously why he won Player of the Year for us.
Definitely.
Just showed his influence.
The one player which really stand out this season was, of course, Bishop in goal. There's a few parts which he made some fantastic saves, but the fantastic saves have to come with a win, and I feel like the team were just watching him save and were relying on him too much at certain points. Like against Scunthorpe, we lost 4-1 near the end of the season, and he pulled off fantastic saves, and I feel like the players were just watching him save them and relied on him too much. And he did get the England call up recently, and he's played tonight and he's come out with a 4-0 win. So we need the players to back him up next season, because I feel like with Oxley, he's a fantastic goalkeeper, but in a few seasons' time, I don't think he'll be the player which he was yet, like last year when he got Player of the Year. I just don't think he's as good as what we have with Bishop.
Yeah, obviously Bishop's got a higher amount of potential, and he's already as good, or if not better than Oxley at his age.
Yeah.
So he's only going to go up, isn't he? He's not.
Well, that's what we hope.
Yeah, but obviously if he gets so good, he'll obviously move on. But then I reckon he was somebody that could generate us enough funds to move on to bigger and better things, just purely because of his talent.
Okay, let's move on to the next section. Last season now, it's a mix and match season, wasn't it, Taylor?
Yeah, obviously highs and lows.
Yeah.
So we started off the season quite well. Then all the injuries started to come. The Coker against Sunderland away when he tore his ACL and LCM or whatever it is. And then with Hopper, he was our leading goal scorer up to about Christmas time, where Cox overtook him, and we just suffered, And that's when we had to bring in Taylor Moore and Sam Hart to give us options.
Yeah. The start, I'm gonna describe it as not the best season, of course, we could say that, but I think Chris Powell had half of the responsibility of that team not doing well. I feel like he blamed it too much on the injuries and didn't look at the youth and didn't look at the options which he had at the club. Like, he complained too much when there was a chance for him to make signings and make do with what he had. And I feel like that was a massive problem. And then Ron Martin had a massive responsibility because I feel like he left it too late with him. Because he left it till March to finally realise that Chris Powell is not the man to keep us up. And I had belief in Chris Powell. I had belief that maybe if we kept him at the club, maybe we would move on to better things. But it just wasn't for me. I felt sorry for him, and of course we've moved on to Kevin Bond now, which I see. Maybe I feel like he will probably do the same, like in halfway through the season, or next season he'll probably do the same thing. But I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that won't happen. But last season wasn't the greatest of seasons, and I feel like we were very lucky to stay up because, of course, the Rochdale games and we went to that, and the Scunthorpe game wasn't great, like 4-1. I mean, come on. They had more desire to stay up than what we did.
Yeah, it's like Kevin Bond had a 6-game turnaround period to keep us up. And like the game before, we had to have Ricky Duncan, who was the manager of the under 18s, and we've got no chance. It's just like a waste of a game. We might as well have given the 3 points before we started, because we need to be appointing a manager faster than that in the circumstances we was already in. It was just ridiculous.
And of course let's move on to the injuries. Let's just name all the injuries which we had. Of course, we had Ben Coker, we had Humphreys, we had Who else did we have? We had Hyam some of the point. We had Dimitri some of the areas.
Tom Hopper.
I said that already. Tom Hopper. You know, I feel like the injuries had a massive impact on the squad, and Chris Powell had a massive. Oh, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Had a massive role on trying to boost the morale of the squad and say, you know, we can do this, we can move on, and this isn't the biggest problem which we have at the club. You know, we've got a good squad and we have got the squad to push on to do better things, but it just wasn't to be really. Like at the start of the season, we were doing so well, and we were like, you know, getting the wins here and there. And there was a couple of games which, you know, I can get that we lost, but like, you know, it was difficult.
Yeah, like I think, like towards the end of the season, when we lost against Walsall, we can like blame the officials for that. We no way, 89th minute, and he gives a penalty's given for obviously clear challenge, which he won the ball off, and obviously the referee got given no match the week after due to his actions, and he could have cost us. He could have cost us our position in League One.
Yeah, we can't, as I keep saying, you know, we can't blame this, we can't blame that. It's down to the players and how they react with these decisions, and we have to move on with them. But I feel like near the end of the season it got too repetitive and all the refs were going against us. But you know, it's difficult. The referee definitely did cost us that game, and that wasn't a penalty. And you know, the second goal, which went in from Taylor Moore, he headed it down, and he felt like the goalkeeper had his hands on the ball, and it was in his hands. And Taylor Moore did kick it into the back of the net and blown for full time, which I feel like shouldn't have happened, and the goal should have standed. But the ref was wrong in that game, like many other games this season.
Yeah, obviously, but like what Chris Powell's last performance was to Charlton away, and Drew got sent off for a clean challenge, and the week after another player from an opposite team, can't remember who was playing, did the exact same challenge and didn't even get a yellow for it. It just proves how biased some referees can be. Obviously, it's not always a ref's fault and the players who have to mind their own actions, but sometimes it does get a bit ridiculous.
I feel like the reffing and the reffing in League One and EFL definitely needs to be taken into account, and the FA should definitely train them more. Like I'm not saying that they were bad, but there's certain decisions which they need to really look at, and you know, I don't know what the word is. You know, like there was a few times
they need to be monitored on what they've done.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the fourth officials, what job do they have? Like honestly, all they have is a board to hold up. There's literally no decisions. They literally stand there, watch what the managers have to say, and just don't watch the game. What happens? Like, what is the point of a fourth official? Yeah, they take over a ref if they need to, if the ref is in a lot of trouble. But yeah, no, all the officials definitely need to be taken into account and need training.
Like you said with the fourth official, there's a man who sits relatively close to us, and he shouts at the fourth officials quite a lot, and they spend most of the time listening to him and looking at him than they do concentrating on the game. Yeah, I know it can be distracting, but you know that's your job. You get paid quite a lot to stand there and monitor the game. Like you shouldn't be turning around and communicating with players in the crowd.
Definitely. You know, I feel like there's a massive gap between the Premier League and EFL, and that should be taken into account. I feel like Premier League refs should be should drop down to League One, or League Two, and they should drop in certain games. And then EFL refs should go up to the Premier League sometimes to get that experience from the Premier League instead of just staying in League One where they have no experience of a big game or a big rivalry. anyway, yeah, well, this season hasn't gone well, and definitely next season we should push on to do better things if we sign the better players. I don't know whether Taylor is still here. Taylor, you there?
Yeah, sorry, I just can't hear what you say sometimes.
What, is it lagging?
You lag out a little bit, and then I lose context of what you're saying.
Well, what I was saying is that the league, like the Premier League refs should like mix and match with other leagues, and then League One, like League Two, League One, EFL refs should then go up to the Premier League and ref one of their games to get the experience from that. And then, like, Premier League refs should go down to League 1 and 2 in Championship and then ref their games instead of just staying in the Premier League, like Mike Dean and stuff.
Yeah, I guess, but if you even if you look at the Premier League, there's some corruption and some like just stupid decisions that can cost teams, and it'd be good for the experience, but
Yeah.
it's no different at the end of the game. A football game's a football game. You should be able to manage it if it's League One or non-league. It should
Definitely.
be the exact same.
It's the exact same everywhere, but, this season we've got to look back and learn from it and not stand off it and, like, pretend it never happened. The players have to learn from their mistakes and learn from this season, and Kevin Bond has to address that in pre-season. And we're going to move on to pre-season now. What do you think is essential for pre-season for our new season? Like, what do you think we need to do in pre-season to be ready for the new season?
Obviously, we're going to have to use a lot of our youth players next season, and so we need to get them some experience, and obviously we just need to keep our players' fitnesses up.
Definitely.
Just give them the chances, and like our new signing, good ship. He needs to be given the opportunities to show what he's worth.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I'm yawning. There's a game against Millwall which is going to be a tough one. Definitely a battle of the fittest there. A rivalry still there today, even though they are in the Championship. It's going to be a tough game. I feel like we're not going to be ready for it, but it's down to how Kevin Bond lines us up every week in pre-season against Billericay, Dagenham and Weymouth.
Yeah, obviously, Millwall's a battle of the fans as well, isn't it?
Obviously,
we want to win, but they've got quite rough fans, and so have we.
Yeah, rough fans. Remember, like, a couple of seasons back with Colchester when we punched a fan. Both fans are reckless, and the players have to concentrate on their game. And next season we've got to use our pre-season effectively to go on to better things in the new season.
Yeah, and some of these games against lowest league sides like Weymouth and Billericay, obviously we can use that to scout for young talent, in that we can get for cheap.
Definitely. I feel like pre-season against low league sides is not going to be beneficial to us to be ready for the new season, and one pre-season game against a top side is not going to be as beneficial. Like, you look at when we played Brighton, they were 2 seasons ago, they were in the Prem and we lost 3-0. I get going up against higher divisions is going to be a tough test for us. Maybe we should go up against someone in League 2, and that then we can build on from that. We can play against some bigger teams in League 2. We can improve from that, like Colchester, or we can play Lincoln, who's just been promoted to League 1. But it's pre-season. We don't want to put too much pressure on our players and get players injured. It's a time for us to build on fitness against lower league teams.
Yeah, obviously, if we were to play Colchester in the pre-season. Obviously, that's our biggest rivalry. So that would also be able to like generate funds from like fans, because obviously it'd bring quite a few fans together because it's our biggest rivalry. So, and obviously people want to attend that.
Yeah, I'll definitely be attending that. Let's move on to season expectations. This is going to be a big part of the podcast now. Where do you think we'll finish next season?
I don't think we'll finish as low as we did last season, obviously, because we've got the experienced strikers now, and we've got many options of them. And as long as we can get in a solid defender like Taylor Moore and Sam Hart back, or just somebody else, that we haven't heard of, or like who's coming up the ranks, I reckon we can get a mid-table 12th, 11th, around that area.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I'd definitely be happy with a mid-table finish, but I feel like if we get Dimitri back, if we get Tom Hopper back, if we get Sam Hart back, if we get Taylor Moore, it's all ifs, and we need to be certain with who we've got next season. And Sam Barrett, we haven't seen a single minute in the actual league because of his injury in pre-season, and we don't want that to happen in pre-season. Like, we don't want to rush Tom Hopper back. We don't want to rush Dimitri back. We don't want to rush anyone back from injury, and injuries are going to be a big part of this season, and we've got to use our players effectively. So if they are they've picked up a knock in the last game, we've got to not use them in the next game. That's why squad depth is a massive thing for us. Maybe the signing of Goodship has strikers are going to be the main part this year. Like, if Tom Hopper's going to get injured, then we've got that backup for him. And if Cox gets injured, then he can definitely fill in for him because of his scoring record last 2 seasons, where he scored 77 in how many games? I don't know. I can't remember.
97 games, I think he did it.
Yeah, something like that. But we can't look at what he did in that league, because it's 3 steps below where we are, and he was brought up through the Bournemouth youth team and didn't get into that Bournemouth squad, and he could have been called up, but I think if we bring in the right players, I would definitely be certain that we will probably finish in 10th. A lot of people are writing us off at the moment. Like, a lot of players, teams are saying, or fans are saying, that we'll finish 23rd, 24th, and I feel like that's not us. Like, not last season, but the season before that, we were a mid-table team, and we showed to the league that what we've got, and that we can fight for our position in the league. And I feel like our fans a couple of seasons back were like, yeah, we can get into playoffs. I feel like the team are trying to aim too high, and that's what it was this season. I feel like Chris Powell was aiming too high in the league, and we were aiming for that playoff position, and I feel like the players were getting too ahead of themselves.
Yeah, and I've seen some people's predictions when they're like Lincoln to come in the top 4 and then winning a playoff. Like, you've just been promoted. I know you've obviously got the momentum, but you've got to admit the change from League 2 to League 1 is massively different, and obviously we've experienced that in the recent years where we've been promoted.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm yawning again. Definitely, I feel like Lincoln City's a big talking point, because they've only just come up. I feel like they had 1 season in League 2 and then got promoted the next season. I think that is it. They've just come up. They've got good players. They've got a good stadium. They've got a good bunch of fans, and I feel like they will stay up. But I feel like they'll be a mid-table side again. And same with who got promoted through the league playoffs. I feel like Tranmere, now they've got rid of their main striker Norwood to Ipswich, I feel like they're not going to have a chance in this league, and they will probably go back down to League 2 next season.
Going to go down again.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think they've got the squad to stay up. Obviously, they didn't perform. Obviously, they performed well to get into League One, but they didn't perform that well that I would expect them to stay up.
Yeah. Do you think that with the new teams who have come back down again from the Championship, like Bolton, Ipswich, Rotherham, do you feel like we have more of a difficult challenge this season than what we did last season? Like, we've still got Sunderland, we've still got Portsmouth. It's going to be tough to beat them, and it's going to be tough to like win against them.
Yeah, obviously, like teams like Sunderland, we proved in the season
Yeah,
that
but
we
we
can be
hadn't. We
better.
had. We had like a goal to win. That was our chance to stay in the league, and we had something to play for. And I feel like
Yeah,
that's what we need to take into every game. We can't just take it into one game. We've got to take it into every single game, and we've got to pretend like every game is a cup final.
yeah, exactly. Obviously, you have to take every game as it comes, and you have to put all your determination and effort in. Because if you go into the game thinking you're going to lose, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, we can't go too ahead of ourselves, and we can't overthink ourselves like Portsmouth fans this season, which I've watched on YouTube. They're just so cocky and they're too ahead of themselves, and they've got to come back down to reality. Like, Portsmouth aren't as good as what they used to be, and they've got to look at that. Like Sunderland, they used to be good, but not as good as what they used to be. I feel like they're going to go up this season, but they are going to struggle. Definitely going to struggle.
Yeah, like Charlton obviously just gone back up, and we've obviously lost the best away game in the league. But
Yeah.
uh, I, I I feel like when we played them away, we obviously matched them on the pitch, if not played better, and we should have won. But
Mm.
it's it's just the circumstances. Like, I didn't think they deserved to go up, but you know that's what's just
To
happened.
put luck in it,
Like,
Sunderland weren't as. I don't
yeah,
think Sunderland played that well. Their goal was just luck. They got a back pass from Sarr to the goalkeeper, and it was a misunderstanding from the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper messed it up, and of course it then went to 1-0, and then Charlton spun it around, and I feel sorry for Sunderland. I wanted them to go up. I wanted them to, they had that opportunity, but they just, they gave up.
yeah. Obviously, they're probably the biggest team in our league, but then that's just because of their history. When they came down 2 seasons in a row, it proved that they were unable to play football at top level, and now when they came into our league, they were very cocky about it and were like, "We're going to go straight back up," and just about made the playoff places, and then lost in a playoff final.
Mm,
It's if you're going to act like that, you have to show it on the pitch.
mm, definitely. I feel like that's what we need to. I didn't listen to what you said, to be honest. Well, I feel like next season we've got hard games next season, and we've got to take them game by game, and we've got to have that determination. We've got to have that momentum to strive to go, to win the games. Like Sam Mantum, he's our captain. Do you think he's a good captain?
Uh, Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel he's right for the job, if you ask me. I feel like someone like John White, who's more of a demanding player week in, week out anyway, would act more as a better captain. Maybe Simon Cox would be another good option.
Mm.
Even like Nathan Bishop. I know he's young, but you look at De Ligt, he's an 18-year-old centre back, and he brought his team to a Champions League semi-final. Southend ain't going to get to a Champions League semi-final, but he's got the same like ability as De Ligt. He's very a demanding player. He's
Mm.
young and he's got potential. Like, he would be such a good player to give a chance.
I feel like our whole youth system has got potential. You look at Kelman, he's got bags of potential, and us signing another striker hasn't helped that. Like, he can come into that squad. Maybe Aqua, was that his name? Aqua, the young striker who played a couple of the games. I
I
didn't.
think he shouldn't have started, but I feel like we should have played wingers in them games
Mm.
instead of having two strikers. Obviously, obviously, we all thought, like me and you, thought that Kitely was going at the end of the season, but luckily we found out it's the next season. He's very
He's
likely
got another
retiring.
year. I feel like
we still got 2 years, the two wingers, which changed the game completely when they come on. Like against Rochdale, McLaughlin came on, and another bad reffing decision when they called him offside, where it was very close, but he was onside and he scored. But obviously we got judged by the ref again and didn't get given the goal.
I completely forgot about the refereeing decision against McLaughlin there. Yeah, Rochdale was another game which was very what's the word? That was another game which could decide our fate in League One, and the refs definitely fucked us over there as well.
Yeah, like there was obviously a female linesman, and obviously,
but we can't blame on that.
There's room for everyone in football, and I feel like people would judge her just because she's a woman, where she deserves a chance. And I feel like she was the best official in that game.
Yeah, definitely.
Where she just proves that people who go who want to do something different and prove that women can be linos. Because obviously a lot of people judge them, whereas they should have the chance. And she proved on that game that she deserved that chance, and she should go on to better things.
Yeah, definitely. And certain linesmen need taken action too, and certain linesmen don't need to be. This is the biggest problem in our league at the moment, and it needs to be improved on. But anyway, we're not gonna touch on that again. We're not gonna touch on improving the officials. But yeah, we're gonna close this podcast here. I hope you did enjoy it, whether you were watching on the live or you are watching it on the past recording. I hope you did enjoy it. Make sure to share it out and share all about the Blues, and make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for new podcasts. And we're going to be vlogging the new season next season, seeing how they get on next season. I've been Owen, and I've been joined by Taylor.
Goodbye.
See ya in the next episode.